What's up, YouTube? Bam, and welcome to another edition of Wolf King's Vids. Okay, this video is going to be a response to True Freethinker, aka Mariano. Okay, apparently it's been like several days. I assumed I wasn't good enough for a response, but he's graced me with not one, not two, but three responses. He said he had a lot to say, but he wasn't joking. Anyway, so Mariano, you said that well, I think you're a little bit confused with the whole response to my video that I made to your video because yeah, it was about Cosmos, and it was about the whole science thing. But you said that it was in your view that it was promoting atheism due to this one statement made in Cosmos. The cosmos or the universe is, was, or ever will be, and you said that was faith based. I think that's sort of an argument from incredulity, in that you just can't imagine that the physical natural world essentially expands on forever. So you just can't, and you can't really imagine that with your worldview. So you're sort of just like asserting that it's faith based. But I think that's sort of like that sort of needs more clarity, in that you need to come up with some more evidence to actually demonstrate how this is a faith-based claim. Because I think the concept of a deity that is actually like apparently unexplainable and essentially eternal is the same as saying the universe is, was, or ever will be, and be done with it. I feel like you need to actually probe more into that thing. But just moving on from that, you also described the natural laws and how they follow through the scientific method as scientific laws. Although you sort of gave several attributes to the natural laws, kind of divine like. Now, I understand that they might seem sort of amazing, and they are. I'm not going to reject that. But yeah, these are just it's just the boundaries that science tends to focus on, which is the observable, the testable regularities that we can understand for reality and the universe altogether as a whole. So that's just, I feel like that was sort of like stating the obvious. But in this in another part of the video, you said in terms of people using scientific research or conducting scientific research, they have to presuppose that God exists. Now, this is sort of like that tag argument for the existence of God, where the apologist says that, in order for logic to be possible or anything like that, we have to presuppose the existence of a God, specifically the biblical God, because in a naturalistic worldview, it apparently cannot be accounted for, and it's sort of like arguing in a circle, basically. God exists, everyone knows God exists, yada 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 yada. But the thing is, the interesting thing about the human brain is, in terms of understanding the world, it does more than just recollects information. It intercompares, it sensitizes and analyzes. It generates abstractions, and logic itself is sort of like, logic is intrinsic within language. If we're trying to communicate something, whether it be a language, an idea, or a feeling, we're going to need to make sure it makes sense, in terms of its communication. So we're gonna have to make sure that it's clear, and it actually makes sense to the next person. Otherwise, we would just be talking gibberish. I mean, this is a matter. This is a system to where we can actually communicate knowledge as a result of our evolutionary rise as a species. I mean, this is sort of universal. I mean, we even see we even see other primates doing this. When they're using sign language. So it's not really a matter of presupposing a deity. It's just a matter of recognizing that like logic is language. These things are intrinsic within us as people. They're not presupposing anything. It's just a matter of it's a matter of recognizing what actually makes sense to people, and how you could actually communicate something else to people in order to make sense. Like, for example, 2 plus 2 equals 4. This is a mathematical formula that is measurable and quantifiable. It doesn't presuppose anything. It's just a mathematical formula. And you also said in your video that that even with all the scientific knowledge that humanity has gained, we can never say that there is no supernatural. But before that, you also said that I mentioned that that science doesn't necessarily lead to atheism, but if it does, oh well. That's what I said. Now, I will grant that science has nothing to do with atheism. You know, that's not a positive claim that I make. However, the positive claim that I do make is that the universe exists and it's possible to learn something about it. And the primary reason I subscribe to the beliefs that I just mentioned is because of the practical benefits that it yields in providing advancements and progressions for our species and our human condition. From understanding the world from the subatomic to the cosmological, it is really a matter of physical evidence and reason logic. How we understand how we share DNA with other species, how we develop rockets that go to the moon, how we develop satellites that stay up in orbit, how we build cars that drive, how we develop planes that fly. It is really a matter of producing mathematical, quantifiable, naturalistic explanations for these things. It is not, at no point do we see our knowledge being filled with anything supernatural. Now, I recognize that this doesn't give me any leeway of saying that there is no supernatural, and I don't say that. I can't disprove the supernatural no matter how much empirical scientific knowledge I gain. However, by that logic, I can't also disprove the flying spaghetti monster or the space teapot or the invisible pink unicorn either. So I think until you actually establish that there is a supernatural with some objective evidence and proofs or some reason, then I think you're still dealing, the jury's still out on that, basically. What we're dealing with is like the null hypothesis, is that, you know, the natural world is what it is, and that and until you actually establish that, the jury's still out on there. So and finally, in the last bit of the video, you mentioned science in the Bible. You sort of tried to guess at my worldview, and you sort of like gave like some good close answers to where you said that I think that matter, energy, space, time, and all that exists and stuff like that. And you said that you could find it in your holy book. With the first part in Genesis, where it says in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And apparently you said you could find Big Bang cosmology in there. Well, I think that's sort of moot and ridiculous, because this is not a new trick, dude. Dude, I have a fundamentalist Muslim friend. His name's Fahad. He says that his book contains, you know, empirical scientific data as well. This isn't a new trick. Okay, and let's be frank. The people who wrote the Bible, they didn't know a lot about science, especially that part. So don't even try to like BS that in there. You trying to shoehorn empirical scientific data in your scriptures is not going to justify it as a science book. So I understand that a lot of apologists do this, including Ray Comfort. However, the reality is what actually builds science is physical evidence and reason logic, not religion or biblical text or religious text or whatever you want to say. The reason there's a conflict between religion and science is that the latter keeps disproving the things that religion claims to be true with the very same tools and bases that helps produce it. So yeah, as I said, you know, until you actually establish your claims to be accurate and true, you know, you're still in the hot seat to actually prove them. So this is my response to the first video. So I'm gonna produce the next two down the line. So so be prepared for them, okay? This has been Wolf King. Peace out.